Hey, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. And today's subject is actually going to be about what I'm hoping to accomplish with my artwork and really with this YouTube channel in general. But I'll talk a little bit about what I'm drawing here. So I'm actually keeping this more in real time. I only sped up the video a little bit, but for the most part, you're going to see the raw footage of me just sketching out the seal Pokemon and then coloring it at the end. But it wasn't too difficult. It came out pretty decently, I think. It's not like a one for one just copy of the my reference, but I think it's pretty good drawing. It's very simple shapes, as you'll notice, and yeah, it's pretty basic Pokemon. But yeah, I mean, I'm starting to realize just for drawing in general that I'm starting to find it easier, and I think everybody knows basic shapes: triangle, square, and circle. So with those three shapes, you can do quite a bit, and I'm starting to realize how much I can do by just learning those basic shapes. But yeah, so getting back to what the title of this video is. Also, thank you to the previous comment on one of my other videos, and they told me that my voiceover audio was too low. So I'm gonna actually put up the volume a little bit on this video, and then most likely I'll re-upload the previous video as well, and make sure that the volume is at a better level for it's easier to hear instead of having to turn your volume all the way up. Because what I'm doing is that the reason why it's so low is that I'm using these. This is terrible to do, by the way, if you're doing video editing, but it's not too much editing that I have to do for like voice and all that. But right now what I'm doing, I'm actually editing off my Beats headphones, and Beats are notorious for being terrible headphones when it comes to the V curve. If you know anything about audio, there's the treble, the higher end, there's the bass at the lower end, then in the middle there's the mids. And with these Beats headphones, they tend to amplify the bass, and then a little bit of the highs, they amplify that a little bit, and then the mids are like just non-existent. So I got to make sure that I when I'm editing, that I keep that in mind, that I'm editing off of crappy headphones, unfortunately. But like I said, thankfully it's not too much audio editing. If I was really audio editing, like I have some Audio Technicas that I have in storage that I don't carry with me all the time. I only keep them at my used to keep them at my desk whenever I had my apartment, but right now they're at my storage, and I really don't feel like doing that whole or having those headphones all the time with me, just because they're so big and I don't have enough room for them in my bags. But yeah, in the future, hopefully, I'll be able to use the Audio Technicas and be able to use my Final Cut Pro on my MacBook or my Mac instead of using it on my iPad. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. So yeah, I'll improve the audio quality or the audio volume coming up. So what am I hoping to accomplish? So I made some notes about this one. I was finally able to log into my Notion. If you don't know Notion is it's used by a lot of creators on YouTube and just hiccups. Companies in general. So a lot of companies use it, and they used to organize a lot of what they're doing with their stuff. So for me, I'm using it right now to organize just my YouTube video ideas, and then kind of plot out some points now, because before, even now, I mostly just ramble about stuff. So I just get an idea, I turn on the mic, and I just kind of ramble, which is honestly, it's kind of cool. I kind of like the format. It forces me to kind of improvise what I'm going to say and how I'm going to say it. and I've always wanted to do like stand up comedy. So I guess it's kind of like my my trial for stand up comedy. Maybe one day I'll do like an open mic night. You never say never. I want to do a lot of stuff in my life in general, but this is, and maybe I'll talk about that a little bit if I have enough time in this video. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff I want to do. Like I used to think that we would, we as people can only do one thing in life. Like, oh, you got to be a doctor, you got to be a firefighter, you got to be a lawyer, you got to be an artist, you got to be a singer, you got to be a, whatever it may be. But I'm starting to realize, especially with a lot of the individuals that I follow, a lot of them tend to be like multifaceted individuals. So, like one of the examples I like to use, one of my favorite actors, singers, comedians, all that, even when I was younger, is like Jamie Foxx. Like Jamie Foxx, he is so damn multi-talented, like it is ridiculous. He's great at a lot of stuff, and he does a lot of stuff. And with him, I've realized that I don't just have to do one thing. I don't have to just be in one box. I don't have to just like on this YouTube channel, whenever I start uploading stuff, other stuff besides these voiceovers and the drawings that I'm doing. If I want, I can upload whatever I want. If I want to do a more creative thing where, maybe I'm singing, can't sing for crap. So you'll probably never see me sing. But, if I ever want to get like vocal lessons and be able to like hold a note when it comes to singing, maybe I'll make some singing videos, or, maybe I'll make like a vlog, or, there's just so much you can do in life. And honestly, I don't like being put in a box. So that's what my main point is when it comes to that. But yeah, but in terms of my art, one of the things that I'm hoping to accomplish with it is, first of all, there's a lot of it. There's a lot of things. So one of the things I want to do is maybe like sell like commissioned artwork. And when I say sell commissions, I don't mean sell them for like a ridiculous amount. I'm talking about sell it for like $1. Like, because even when I do eventually get to a point where I am good at artwork, I don't ever want to overprice my artwork whenever I'm selling it. So, maybe in the near future, I'll start doing like dollar commissions if people are interested in that. And yeah, maybe I'll do like prints and all that. And there's just so many ideas when it comes to making money from artwork. And honestly, I don't want to make like a whole bunch of money. Like I always tell people this, like I can live off of like 80,000. And I think I've said this before, like 80,000, 75 to 80,000 is a great living. Like that is awesome. I don't need to make millions of dollars. Will it be nice? I mean, yeah, but it's not like the end all when it comes to my art. Like honestly, a lot of my art is, I do it because I like doing it. And honestly, like when it comes to commissions, when I do end up probably eventually doing that, like I said, it's probably going to be for a very inexpensive amount, no matter how detailed the artwork is, and no matter how much people think I should charge for them. It's just not something that I want to do. I don't want to be selling stuff for, because unfortunately, there's a lot of creators out there that they'll sell something and they'll overprice it like crazy. And when I say overprice it, a lot of people are like, well, I'm getting what I'm worth, and this is the manifestation of years of practice. And I get that, I'm not knocking them. People do what they want, but it's just not what I want to do personally. And that's, hopefully people don't knock me for, wanting to do my own thing. I don't think people will knock me for that. Maybe somebody will, but I don't think it's a valid criticism when somebody wants to do something because they want to do it. I'm not hurting anybody by, maybe I'm selling myself short, but to me, it's not really even selling myself short, because it's something that I want to do. But yeah, so yeah, selling commissions is one avenue that I want to do. Possibly, these are all just kind of me rambling and kind of spitballing ideas. Teaching others about art and kind of where I started and just showing them my progression. Because one channel that I really love on here on YouTube is called Proko, Proko, and I forget what the individual's name is. He always shows his face on camera, but he's he went to art school and all that, and but it's a free resource. A lot of it is. It's also a website that they use that it teaches you a lot of the content's free, but it teaches you a lot about like digital art, traditional art. It shows a lot of artists on there, and different kinds of artists. And I highly recommend it for anybody that wants to get into art. Proco is a great free resource here on YouTube and also just online on their website. And of course, they do have some stuff that they sell, but for the most part, like 95 to 98% of it, honestly, is free, which is an awesome thing. That's something that I also want to do as well, where I'm 90, really, I want to do 99% of my stuff is free, where you can just watch it on YouTube or get it for free like online. Or even like when I do start, I don't do this yet, but when I do start like making my own brush sets and all that on Procreate, I'll probably just put it and make my own website, which I kind of have a website right now, but I don't post to it as much. But yeah, in the future I'll be updating my website and all that, but right now it's kind of out of date, so I'll be updating that more in the future. But but on my website I do hope to quote unquote sell brushes. When I say sell brushes, like I said, it's not going to be anything where you have to pay for anything. It's just going to be available free on my website, because honestly it should be free. Even though I'm putting time into it, I understand that, but I think the value that I'm wanting to present and wanting to give to people, I think a lot of it should be free. If not all of it should be free, just like when I was learning like software engineering, one of the websites that I use is called Free Code Camp, and Free Code Camp is a completely free website you can use to learn coding and software engineering and back-end engineering and front-end engineering, and there's just so much you can learn from it. Like, it's a great resource. So if you're wanting to learn anything that has to do with programming, computer programming and all that, definitely go to Free Code Camp, make a free account, and go ahead and start the lessons and all that. Start from top to bottom. It gives you a free layout and all that. It gives you instructions, and it gives you videos on how to do stuff. It's an awesome resource, and that's kind of what I want to be for the art world, because there are a lot of free resources, don't get me wrong. I just want to be another resource is all, and make it a lot easier when it comes to for other people to make art, and to see that anybody can make art, honestly, because I'm not anything special when it comes to making art. I'm not some sort of prodigy or anything like that. I make pretty basic artwork. A lot of it I just use a reference for right now, but I am hoping one day to be able to draw from imagination, and that's something that I'm gonna start implementing more into my workflow. But just teaching others for free. That's the second thing. Third thing is maybe making like a Patreon. And with Patreon, honestly, I don't even know if I want to do that. And even if I do, it's going to be like a really inexpensive Patreon. It's not going to be anything crazy. But with Patreon, I think what I would want to accomplish with the Patreon is that right now I'm just kind of spitballing ideas again. But I don't know, maybe like one-on-one lessons maybe in the future. And it's not these crazy like hundreds of dollars of for lessons and all that. And this is far down the road, don't get me wrong. This is not going to be within the next probably this is probably not even going to be within the next 5 years. It's probably going to be maybe 10 years down the road, But it's good to have ideas and to know kind of a direction of where I'm going with it. because artwork is something that I want to do. Even if I do end up getting like a regular job, it's something that I still want to do on the side as a hobby and still post videos about it, and still try to teach others that, hey, if you want, you can still have a regular job and still, do artwork. For me, I don't necessarily want a regular job, but, I'm not against it. But, yeah, so another thing I want to accomplish with my artwork is making my own like web comic. So I've always loved comics, even growing up, I've always loved Batman, Superman, Spider-Man. I think every little boy loves, all the superheroes and all that. So a web comic is something that I definitely want to get on whenever I do actually have the availability, or not even the availability, the skill to do it, and maybe I can start right now, and maybe I should start right now, and I kind of am already, but I'm just not publishing it right now because I want it to get better. So yeah, making sure to have that web thing would be awesome. Next thing here, animation. So animation is something that, another thing that I've always loved as a kid. I've always loved the comic book movies and all that, and I've always loved, cartoons in general. So I've always wanted to learn how to do animation. Animation's harder. I've dabbled in it a little bit with like stick figures and all that. And but yeah, animation is definitely something that's, that I want to do as well. And it is definitely something that I want to post like videos on YouTube and get like, even if I got to do the voices myself, and then maybe they're not good voices, but if I have to do them myself, I would like to do a little bit of voice acting as well. Just make my own videos, make my own avenue, and be able to animate, and then be my own voice actor, and then hopefully I'll make friends down the road that are voice actors that do just want to do a voiceover for a character, and maybe somebody will write the script. I'll find maybe like a writer friend. It's all collaborative. Like it's so much that you can do with art and be creative with it that the sky's the limit. Honestly, there's no limit to it. But yeah, that's kind of just overarching, or not overarching, but outline. It's just some of the things I want to do, and maybe I'll, in the future, I'll get other things. Like one cool thing that I really want to do is like to make a fully animated video for like a musical artist, and to make it their music video, and I think that'll be awesome to be able to do that, but yeah. So let's see. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes. That's why it's a little bit of silence here. So I do apologize. One thing I need to do. This is what my note says. So bear with me while I read this. One thing that I need to do in order to accomplish all of this, though, is for me to get good at learning art and new styles, which is true. So that's the thing that I think I already kind of touched on. And then I did also touch on, like, with art, there's so much to learn. Maybe I didn't touch on this, but yeah, there's a lot to learn, as you can tell. And one tip I would say that I would give to new artists like myself is that, don't go into what they call analysis paralysis. So if you think too much about what you want to do in art and all that, you just won't do it. You would just keep analyzing, keep researching, and you'll just realize that, you're doing all this research, but you're not putting it into practice. So I would say that's one thing that, just make sure that when you are researching, start implementing it. And that's one thing that I'm doing now is that, like I said, I'm still new, I've been doing this less than 2 years, and, I'm always constantly researching, constantly learning from other artists, watching their videos on YouTube, or watching how they do stuff on like social media and how they frame their their stuff, and I see how they can get their engagement, and I want to do that as well. So I want to be able to make my stuff engaging as well. And once I do, you know, find my own voice, which I'm learning. I'm starting to find it a little bit. But yeah, just make sure to take action. Don't go too much into the research part of it. Or if you do go a lot into the research, keep doing what you're doing. Make sure to put it into action. Let's see. All right. But yeah, so I'm coming up to the end of this video. I think that's kind of all I wanted to kind of touch on when it comes to the art and what I want to accomplish. And like I said, this will be an ever evolving thing. So you'll probably hear about me in the future as things continue to progress. Things that I want to do. Even like one thing I want to do is get more into traditional art. Excuse me. I don't have the means at the moment. And I shouldn't even say I don't have the means. Right now I just don't feel like I want to do it at the moment. So that's why I'm not doing it. I'm more going to do digital art. But yeah, just whatever you do, whether it be making music, making art, trying to think of whatever creative stuff, making videos, there's videographers and all that great stuff, photographers, which photography also is one thing that I want to get more into. I use my iPhone, and honestly, you can take great pictures on your smartphone. Like if you have an iPhone, I have an iPhone 16 Pro, but you don't need that high end of a phone, trust me, to take great pictures. A lot of it you can just take pictures, edit it, and then post it. But yeah, I want to go ahead and start posting more photography and traveling more. Yeah, like I said, there's just a lot I want to accomplish in my life, and a lot of it has to do with creativity and getting out there and doing stuff, and just learning. Like I want to learn everything I can about being creative, honestly. But right now, my medium is just artwork. That's one thing I do. I really want to really get great at, because ultimately that's my passion at the moment is making art. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, I'll make sure to up the volume when it comes to my voice. So I'll make sure to add a little more decibels to my audio. And yeah, I hope to see y'all in the future. I'll go ahead and let the music in the background. I'll up it a little bit, most likely, for the music, and I'll let the rest of this just play out. So other than that, have a great weekend, because I think I'm gonna post this on Friday. So have a great weekend, and I'll talk to y'all in the next video. Yeah, I kind of left that off at a weird, that was a weird inflection on my voice there. But yeah, talk to y'all later.